Hello ladies, and welcome back to my new French chic styling guide, where I take a closer look at one of my favourite Parisian brands, Sezane. Today I'll be sharing a comprehensive review of Sezane's knitwear. Which pieces are worth the hype and which are not, which items get the most and least wear in my own wardrobe, and of course all the outfit ideas of how I'd style them this autumn-winter 2024. So let's dive straight in with a classic. So the Gaspard is, of course, one of Sezane's best-selling signature cardigans. And actually, I think, if I remember rightly, it's one of the first pieces of knitwear that I ever bought from them. I now have it in both the camel and also I have it in the ecru, which actually, in all honesty, I think is more of a very, very soft pink rather than ecru, but hey. Maybe it's me. So the Gaspards are made from a blend of mohair and alpaca, and as lots of you know, I am particularly sensitive with my skin, and strangely enough, neither of these irritate me at all in the slightest. Obviously, you've got a round neck, and then the buttons that go all the way down the center here, they're in a mother of pearl style. Now, both of these cardigans could also be worn as jumpers by simply turning them around. They very handily actually put the labels slightly at the side so you don't have to sit there and unpick it. And sizing wise, I always go true to size with these, with as small as I would say naturally they come up a tiny bit oversized. Now this cardigan I'm wearing is called the Barry, which as you can see is a very, very similar cardigan to the Gaspard. The main difference of course with the Barry is that it's got this deep V-neck. Not too deep I should say, because as you can see it's not showing anything, but you're definitely getting that shape across the chest here. So I guess personal preference on which one you prefer in terms of shape. Yarn composition wise, these two are exactly the same, and they're both available in a huge selection of different colors. Most worn cardigan out of these three would probably be the camel for me, but I am particularly obsessed with that tone. Least versatile in my own wardrobe, at least, I would say, is the red. But again, that's me personally. I don't wear an awful lot of bright clothes very often. I just occasionally like a pop of color. Next up in this Sezane review to one of my absolute favourite pieces of knitwear, be it in spring, autumn or winter, and that would be the Gary. And proof is in the pudding because I've gone for it in the coffee, the ecru, the navy, and now new in the stripes. So this one has been made from 94% organic cotton. I would say it fits very true to size, so I always go for a small. And it's a teeny tiny bit boxy, but I certainly wouldn't describe it as oversized. So you've got a round neck with the doubled cotton rib there as well. Raglan sleeves, which I particularly like in jumpers, and that really nice detail of those gold buttons running down this side of the raglan sleeve. This jumper for me, mainly because it's made from cotton, is just so incredibly wearable on a day-to-day basis. And the nature of this knit does lend itself particularly well to those everyday outfits when you just want something comfy, something warm to pair with your jeans or perhaps even tailored trousers, but you're just feeling like you need a little bit of detail, i.e. the buttons, to feel a little bit more elevated and like you've made an effort. It feels a little bit more special, a bit more original for those everyday outfits. Now the Rudy jumper is very, very similar to the Gary. However, the main difference of course is the fact that this one's been made from cotton and the Rudy has been made from a blend of mohair. I did have one of the Rudys in my wardrobe before, however I ended up finding it too itchy, so I actually ended up selling it. Another nice and similar idea would be the Llewellyn jumper, and the main difference with that one of course is that you've got that button detail running down both raglan plackets. Just for full disclosure, I do not buy all of this knitwear myself. I work with Sezane an awful lot, and they very kindly, because of the nature of my job, they give me a monthly voucher to spend. So do not in any shape or form feel like you need this much knitwear in your wardrobe. I'm just here today to give you a really good review of Sezane's knitwear so that you can make your own informed decision on which piece you think is best for you. So next in my little French chic style guide to a new jumper which I've been meaning to add into my wardrobe for ages, and I finally added it to basket. In truth, it wasn't for lack of trying, it was because it kept selling out so very quickly. So I'm really glad that I finally managed to get my hands on it. So this one has been made from a mix of merino and super kid mohair. As you can see, it's got those slight balloon sleeves, quite reminiscent actually of the Mia in shape of the sleeve, and then you've got that cuff detail with the button, but obviously it's a jumper instead. Probably the sort of thing I'm going to reach for more while it's freezing outside throughout winter, as opposed to the cardigan, which is great for autumn, but it's going to leave you a little bit chilly on the chest when it gets super cold. Now, if you're looking for options to compare, I would say the Maurice jumper is the most similar. However, one thing to note with this one, it's been made from 100% yak wool. Now I don't know about you, but me personally, I don't really like the feel of yak wool. It's got quite a distinctive feel to it, almost quite rough actually. And certainly when you've got all these lovely mohairs and merinos and alpacas to choose from, I'm not sure why or when I would go for the yak instead. But if it doesn't bother you, of course, it is just another lovely classic everyday jumper. Now, thinking of beautiful knitwear sets, next up in this French chic styling review to a gorgeous option that I've just added into my wardrobe. Now, this one has been around for about a year, but I was a little bit slow off the mark adding it to basket before it sold out last winter. So when I saw it recently launched in the navy, I knew I had to add it to basket. Yes, you are right in thinking I did not intend to go for a black top and the navy skirt. I actually meant to buy matching colours, so I've messed up on that. But even though I've got a slight mix up on my tones, the shape is just as lovely in real life as it is online. It is also available in a crew, but I personally find with these knitted skirts that are a little bit more clingy, I find them a little bit more flattering on my own shape if I go for them in a darker tone. So both the midi skirt and the top have been made from a blend of merino and organic cotton. They did advise if you're between sizes, you should size up. And even though I'm not exactly between sizes, I decided to size up anyway, mainly because with skirts like this, again, they're a little bit tighter. I wouldn't mind if it comes a little bit longer and has a bit more room around the waist. Plus, of course, the jumper is just going to be even more versatile if I've got room to put another top underneath. As you can see, it is a midi length, you've got an elasticated waist, and the knit is ribbed as well. And then, like the Gary before, you've got that really nice button placket detailing. It's understated, it feels elevated, it's made from beautiful yarns, it's very comfortable to wear, it doesn't feel too flashy or showy, and because I sized up, it's not clinging too tight on my body. Now, despite my mess up before, not going with a tonal set, it is a bit of a happy accident how lovely that knit works when sat against a leather skirt. I'm all about that mixture of textures within an outfit, and this for me would be a perfect example of how to do it well in autumn winter. On the flip side of that, we come to the Harper dress, which I did have in my wardrobe before. However, on me, there was a few different points that I didn't really like. Firstly, I'm not hugely keen on a mock neck. Generally with Sezane, their mock necks sit a little bit tighter and I found it a bit restricting. It's probably a quirk of me or my personality. I just didn't like that feeling against my neck. Secondly, this dress I think is only suited to people who really like a bodycon shape, which I don't. So I don't know why I suddenly thought I would develop a likening towards it. As it happens, the dress was just too tight, too bodycon, too showing all of my shape, which just isn't me. So I didn't end up wearing it very much and have since sold it. However, quality-wise, it's beautiful as it always is with Sezane. I just think it's worth knowing about that shape and being sure that that is your own personal style before you dive into that one. Next up to a new knitted dress from my wardrobe with the Simple Style Freya. Now, as you can see, this is essentially a humble sweater dress, but as we know, Sezane do so very well, they've upgraded it a notch or 10. So it's been made from 68% baby alpaca for the snuggliest and softest feel. And I love how they've not felt the need to do anything too fussy with the neckline or put any embellishments on it anywhere. Just give me a round neck and I'm very happy. Now, the fit is slightly oversized, and on their website, they do say if you're between sizes, you should size down. However, I didn't bother doing that as I knew when I saw it how I would style it, so I needed it to be, if anything, a little bit bigger. So as you can see here, I'm styling it with a belt at my waist, just really nipping it in, giving myself lots of definition at the waistband, but still getting the joy and the look of a sweater dress while I do it. You don't need to add a belt, and you could of course leave it loose, and that works particularly well actually if you're doing a little bit of layering with the other items you add into the outfit. But for me, I like a little bit of waist action going on, so hopefully you like it too. Now, a little bit of French chic would not be complete without at least one Mia cardigan, or two, or three, or four. Can you tell I like this style a lot? But the truth is, I think when you find a shape of knitwear that you love and it feels really flattering, and most importantly, it mixes and matches with lots of the items you've got in your wardrobe. I've done a bit of a man shopping on this one and gone for it in all the colours. So yarn-wise, it's been made from a blend of mohair and wool, and although it looks super fluffy and soft, it isn't actually itchy, on me at least, and I've got very, very sensitive skin, which is music to my ears because it means I can finally wear something mohair and it won't drive my eczema potty. Now, as you can see, shape-wise, it is slightly oversized, and the sleeves have got a very slight balloon shape gathering in here at the hem, and then you've got that lovely button and frill detail on the hems as well. Love the buttons that they use. I think that's a really nice touch and actually something that we see from SEZANE all the time. And shape-wise, again, it's a V-neck, a little bit like the Barry that I'm wearing, but obviously more of a boxy, oversized shape. Now, with this style of cardigan, there's actually a couple that are pretty similar. You've got the Mia, you've got the Basile, and you've got the Emily. The difference with those two is they're both made from 55% alpaca and then wool. The Basile, like the Mia, has got a V-neck, whereas the Emily has got a round neck. I did have a Basile, but then in truth, I gave it to my friend, mainly because it felt a little bit fluffier than the Mia does, and for some reason that just seemed to irritate my skin a little bit more. Plus, I would say, although the Mia comes up a little bit oversized, the Basile felt like it was really oversized, so perhaps consider sizing down with that one. The Emily, for me, I probably wouldn't go for, mainly because with cardigans I prefer a V-neck than a round neck, but that's just personal preference really, certainly not a style tip as such. So onto another favourite style of knitwear in my wardrobe from SEZANE, and that would have to be the Leontine. I've got the navy with the ecru stripes, and then I've also got it in this gorgeous shade of coffee. Now, this one isn't currently available, but I have seen it come in and out of stock, so definitely worth keeping an eye out on their website. These have been made from 100% organic cotton, so a little bit like the Gary that I showed you here. They're a really nice feel against your skin. However, unlike the Gary, which is a classic crew neck, the Leontine is of course a little bit more of a deep V. Plus, from a styling point of view, I think it looks nicer when you leave a couple of those buttons open, which then as a result makes it less appropriate for the height of winter as opposed to the classic crew neck jumper. I seem to reach for these ones the most throughout spring, colder days in summer, and then autumn, and then come winter I'm going for these heavier knits. But they are very much a favourite and a staple in my own wardrobe, so I would highly recommend the style. I can't remember on their website whether they advised to size up or not, but maybe they did, because I've gone for all three of mine one size up in a medium, and I really like the fit. They are a little bit oversized, they do feel a little bit slouchy, but in my humble opinion, nicely so for that casual everyday look, which is how I tend to style them. But thinking of oversized when it came to the capuchin, I think this one was just going a little bit too much. So this one is described as a cardigan. It's made from organic cotton. It's obviously got this fancy knit on it. I have mostly worn this, however, as a jumper, possibly because it's just so oversized it feels odd as a cardigan. And in actual fact, I am going to put it in my vintage pile because it also feels a little bit too big as a jumper as well. Obviously, it isn't right for the height of winter either because of that knit. It's going to be way too gold and holy. However, it's just not had enough wear from me, sadly, and had I sized down and gone for the extra small instead, possibly that would have made me wear it a little bit more. But in actual fact, I think if you're choosing between a very similar style with the Leontine, I would say this one wins hands down any day of the week. Now, along with feeling very lucky to have all of this beautiful SEZANE knitwear in my wardrobe, I have also tried on so many pieces over the years in their stores as well, so I've probably tried on just about every bit of knitwear they do. So thinking about another nice jumper that you could add into your wardrobe instead, I would take a look at the Lauren jumper, which is just a classic roll neck. I love the shape of this one, it fit lovely. I find roll necks just generally incredibly wearable. I just haven't gone for this one for myself because I've already got a couple of things that are quite similar. So the Oscar jacket is new in my wardrobe. This one has been made from a blend of kid mohair and wool. Like I've said before, it does feel like a heavyweight cardigan rather than a jacket, mainly because of that open shape and of course the fluffy knit. But if you're looking for leopard print and you're not keen on this longer shape, I also really liked and tried on recently the Noah jacket. Now this one does feel more like a jacket actually rather than a heavyweight cardigan, and it's been done in that baseball jacket style. I just thought it was quite an original and cool way actually to tick the leopard print fashion trend box this season. Other nice options would be this jacket, which has the same feel and the same weight, but this one also is available in that burgundy shade. And I really like the Eddie jacket, which is available in both a lovely grey but my favourite mottled beige tone. Next in this SEZANE knitwear review to the Angie cardigan. Now this is a really, really beautiful piece. And like I often say with some of those summer blouses, they look like heirloom pieces. This for me in winter is exactly that same vibe. So yarn wise, it's been made from kid mohair and wool. And then you've got this beautiful lace trim detailing around the collar, down the neckline, and then coming down this front placket. You've also got those mother of pearl style buttons, and then the cuffs as well, being a slight balloon shape coming down into those little gathers, and that gorgeous lace trim on the end to finish. I absolutely love this cardigan, and actually I don't wear it as often as I should, and I think part of that is because it's quite delicate and precious and I want to keep it really nice, so I put it on almost for special occasions, I suppose. So definitely a beautiful option and a more elevated option to some of the more everyday cardigans that you could add. Another very similar alternative to this one, which I particularly love in the sky blue, would be the Angelo cardigan. It's been made from the same blend of wool. However, instead of using lace around the collar, they've actually done a crochet detailing that goes around the collar and then down that front placket. Both very similar. They've both got that same heirloom kind of appeal to them. Really elegant and sophisticated pieces. So personal preference really if you prefer the detail in lace or crochet. Now just worth a mention, I'm not personally much of a tank wearer, but if I was, I would definitely go to SEZANE's knitwear selection to choose one because they're beautiful quality. I have tried one on in store. It fits really nicely as well. It's just not something that I personally would reach for on a day-to-day basis, so I've not added it. However, if they are your cup of tea, it is an area that SEZANE do really well. And thinking of items that just haven't got their wear from me, controversially, I know I would have to add the Betty cardigan into that section. And I can't even show you because it has already gone off to its new owner from my vintage pile. I think the Betty is an acquired taste in terms of the shape because it's so very boxy. It's like a square almost. And for me personally, I just didn't get on with that shape. Because of the detail on it, you have to leave it out and very structured and straight. And I don't like to feel quite so structured with my knitwear. I mean, like you can see today, I've tucked this one in. I might add a belt over the top. I might tie them in little knots and flower buds. However, I'm probably in the minority because when something sells really well, that SEZANE bring it out in lots and lots of different colors, which the Betty is now available. I just think it's worth considering that this shape is going to work on your own body shape and thus how much wear you're going to get out of it, which I should have thought of in advance. So thinking of that jacket kind of style, I do think a nicer alternative would be the Augusta. And my reason being would be this one looks more like a jacket rather than the Betty that has the shape of a jacket but isn't quite because the fabric feels very much like a cardigan. Do you see what I mean? And actually thinking about it, I like the Valeria jacket even more. Plus I'm probably leaning towards it a little bit more because it's been made from a heavy dose of organic cotton. But I do also really like that shape around the collar, and then you've got the big pockets as well. Next on my rail to a jumper that I actually added, it was either late spring or early summer actually. I must have preempted the fact that we'd get no summer at all in this country and bought myself a jumper. So this one is called the Daisy. Obviously it's in a crew and navy stripes, but what I really like with this one to run with that sailor theme is the fact that they've used officer style buttons down the shoulder here. Now if I don't know if I can do enough of a close-up to show you, I really like those buttons actually slightly dulled down, so not too shiny or garish or standing out, but just with that detail it feels really nice and reminds me of my granddad who was a sailor. Now stupidly they did recommend sizing down and I ignored them and I went true to size with a small, and as you can see it does come up quite big. A little bit too big, shall we say. I should have listened and sized down. So if you're thinking about adding this one too, I think their recommendation is correct. However, I still love it. I still wear it. It's a brilliant everyday jumper. Feels lovely against my skin, and it's probably had about 10 washes so far, and it comes out looking as good as new. And staying with the stripes is this gorgeous number on my rail, which I cannot for the life of me remember its name. There is finally a piece of SEZANE's knitwear that's beating me and I don't know what it's called. However, I really love it. So this one reminds me of the Leon Time, but it feels appropriate for winter because it's a really nice heavyweight thick wool and cotton blend cardigan. Very boxy again in shape, but it works I think because it's slightly longer, and I like the fact they've gone with tortoiseshell buttons to contrast against the crew. That really works nicely for me. I have no idea if they still sell it, which is probably really annoying if this is the one piece of knitwear you want to add into your wardrobe. But if I can find it again on their website, or perhaps I shall try and ask Sezane, then I shall add this one into the description box below as well. So lots and lots of beautiful pieces of knitwear. And I know I'm biased because I absolutely love their collections, but when I'm thinking about adding a new piece of knitwear into my own collection, or there's something I need, they would always be my first port of call. Their quality is always amazing, and they just give me that special something, that little something different, which we're often after. I really hope you've enjoyed this edition of my French chic styling guide, and you found this review of Sezane's knitwear helpful, and it's given you a good idea of which item is best suited for you. Don't forget to let me know in the comments section below which is your favorite item of knitwear that I've got in my wardrobe. And equally, if you prefer something different from their website, or maybe something I've not talked about, it'd be really lovely to hear everyone's favorites in the comments below. Don't forget, if you're new to my channel and you're not already, it'd be really lovely if you'd like to subscribe, and a thumbs up on this video is always very much appreciated. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and I shall see you on Sunday.